Welcome to Advice and Southern Tales. Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only, and it's only Miss Amanda and Miss Leah's opinion. They're real good when you said that. Hey, looking real pretty. Tell me that so much, Charlie. One time you said, Charlie, why don't you ever tell me I look pretty? And what'd I say? I said, if you don't, I'll tell you. Otherwise, just assume you do. So that's what I'm talking about, Lola. Okay, Charlie, I guess you're right.
I think Lola is jealous of you, Amanda.
I think she is too.
When I would do Lola and Charlie in the classroom, he would always have a crush on little student teacher that had come from the college to do her practice teaching. And they would see her in the hall. They would go, Charlie likes you.
What,
And
Charlie?
I know they thought, what? Some people think he's a little creepy, but when I was teaching school, it was whatever made the kids remember and have fun.
That would make me remember. I think he's him and she's her and you're you.
That's why I told somebody one time, I said, if you don't like this personality, it's fine. I got 5 other ones.
Hey, it wasn't for that gecko lizard advertisement. We could be the gecko lizard, change our skin with every tone.
One time I was in a play, and the play was called Crimes of the Heart, and my cousin actually wrote it, and she won a Pulitzer Playwright Prize. The play was on Broadway. If anybody's interested, they ended up making a movie. You know how communities will put on plays? They were going to do Crimes of the Heart. So I saw in the paper, and I said, I think I'm going to audition. My mama was like, you don't have time for that. And I was like, well, I probably won't get it.
You know what my mama would have said to me?
What?
What you gonna do for them? Fix their hair? She wouldn't have thought I could have acted.
I went up in there, and I was running a little late. I said, would it help if I told y'all Beth Henley's my cousin? I hadn't heard from him in 2 weeks. Then this guy phoned me at work. We've been trying to get in touch with you to tell you you got that part in the play. So I had put one of the numbers backwards. That proves that we are dyslexic, because I wouldn't have done that on purpose. One of my lines, all I got was 1 box of chocolate, and you have stuck your finger in every piece. We won our community, and then we got to go to the state, and I won all-star cast. I think I could have been an actress.
If we had been in a place where that could have been like an option, we would have gone for it. But see, our family didn't know that was even an option, or they would have flown us to Hollywood.
Yeah, I think some of it's luck too, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do. We could have made a movie that would be like no other.
Wouldn't that be fun?
We could be Thelma and Louise, or we could be Leah and Amanda, or we could be Leah. We could whatever they wanted.
We could be real country talking like this.
You remember Sissy and Hazel?
I do remember Sissy and Hazel, and I remember I had a boyfriend named Billy Bob. I was asking my friend the other night, it's like, what do you think our niche is?
I thought exactly the same thing you just asked her. I've been thinking, no matter what, we're going to keep on talking because we talk anyway. I told somebody it's about us and growing up, today times, stuff outside of today, movies. Like, our goal is to be real and to just make people laugh.
Niche.
It is.
Is it niche or niche?
Niche. I call it niche. Niche.
I think it's niche. Yeah. But I think
that may be
is.
French's way to pronounce it the way you said it the first time.
Everything I've listened to all these podcasts and watched these YouTube videos about how you get a large following is having a niche. So I'm thinking, what is our niche? I'll be honest. I asked ChatGPT what to name this podcast.
What is it called?
GPT.
I thought it was Jap
GTP. I used to think TikTok, when it first came out, I called it Tic Tac. You know, my cousin was getting married, and my grandmother said when the bride was coming down the aisle, you want a mint?
A Tic Tac or a wedding mint?
This was a funny story I was thinking about. Mamaw passed away. Aunt Bobby Jean came to Mamaw's funeral. Now, she's dead, too. You know how in the South they have a time for the family to come view the body before the casket?
Yeah. Now, is
Well,
Mama Eddie's mama?
We all get up to go view the body, and then we come back and sit down waiting for the preacher to walk up. Aunt Bobby Jean jumps up, and she comes running up the aisle. My sister, how am I going to live? She just went on and on. It was just a little bit too long. Finally, we got my niece. Vicky goes up, puts her arm around her shoulder, and Aunt Bobby Jean looks at her and she goes, well, hey, Vicky, I didn't know you was here. So you talk about putting on an act.
You know what? A lot of good Southerners are like that. I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at the fact that when my daddy moved back to where he grew up to retire, he drove up in his driveway and it was a big black car in the driveway. He thought it was maybe the government. It was the local funeral home owner. When Daddy walked in, Daddy is like, well, hey. And the funeral home person said, well, Raymond, you have a job. And he said, I do. Anyway, he went to work to help out. His first job was to drive the hearse to the graveyard. And I said, Daddy, what'd you think about that? What'd you do? When he goes, well, I looked in the rear view mirror a lot. One time the music went out when it was time to sing a song. And I said, what'd you do, Daddy? I grew up with him in a gospel quartet. So he said, I just got up there and said, technology will fail you, but the Lord won't. And he just started singing in a cappella, and everybody joined in, and there it goes. But see, they would have been out of luck if it had been me, because I couldn't have done that. I don't know how to get the first note up. If somebody gets the first note up, I can carry on with them.
So before we got on the podcast, I told Amanda she has got to tell the story that she told me about her mother leaving her cell phone. She's been for a visit, and Amanda, that was so funny. It cracked me up.
I got ready for her to come, but I had stayed up late the night before cleaning, so I was tired, and we'd stayed up the night before watching TV too late. So she got here, and I had my Christmas tree standing up in the den because I keep it in the garage, and I'm always worried there's either spiders or a snake crawled up in there. And I just want to give it time to get out before I go to put my hands up in there. So I just had it standing upright. She said, where's your decorations? And I said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to do it one weekend when I'm just here by myself. She said, well, we can just go ahead and do it. And she is 77 and just come back from working, putting up Christmas decorations in Savannah. And I was like, Mama, just sit down and we're about to watch a series. I went to the bathroom, and when I was in the bathroom, I heard something coming in the garage door going. It was her sliding my box in with all my decorations. And I was thinking, no. But we got that done, and then we had a great time. Her friend came over to pick her up. We watched Place to Call Home. I cooked. Whatever. Then they got ready to go home on Sunday, and we had given her a couple of things out of the garage, which my daddy said they couldn't put a paper clip in their house, and she was bringing more stuff from my garage to her house. We loaded that stuff up, and we made it so Debbie could see, out the back window. And after about 2 hours, Taylor said, did Nanny forget her phone? Sure enough, it was under her pillow up where she slept. So I said, well, I'll mail it. So I go down to the UPS store and I say, I need to mail this to my mama. And it's a flip phone. I'm about halfway embarrassed to go in there with a flip phone anyway. But I said, I need to mail this to my mama and I don't want to spend $60. She said, okay, let me see what we got. So she did. And she said, $28, it'll be there midweek. She said, do you want to power that down? And I said, yeah, I'd like to, but I don't know how to power it down. A flip phone, do you know how to power it down? And she said, no. And
Was she young?
No, she was older. And she must have what we got. But so I just kept fiddling with it, and I finally figured it out. So I turned it off, Gave it to her. I told Mama, I said, I mailed your phone. And she said, did you cut it off? Mama said, well, I hope you turned it off because, I got thinking about it. If that thing rung when it's getting shipped out, she said, they might have thought it was a bomb and done something to my phone. I said, I figured it out and it's cut off and it's mailed. And then she called me and said she got it. And she was so happy to have that flip phone back. And the battery was still good.
Well, she doesn't use internet on it. She doesn't text on it.
No.
She doesn't do pictures, so the battery probably lasts a long time.
She just said hello. That's all she does.
I liked that little flip phone when I had it. And I learned to text. I didn't like you had to push the button 3 times.
Was terrible.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was. But you remember the kids could do it so fast.
Well, I know.
And
They
they'd be
get it down. I know.
like they were playing a video game or something.
Yeah. All we did was Pac-Man or Pac-Woman, and then...
No, it wasn't Pac-Woman. What was it?
It was
Pac-Girl?
Maybe it was Pac-Girl.
Pac-Girl. Was it Pac?
You remember when that Notori came on that you could get TV, and it bounced that ball back and
those
and
little
you
black
just hit it.
Controllers.
It's almost like ping pong. If you couldn't hit that ball, you don't even try the rest because it was slow.
And then I remember Nintendo came out and it had that Mario that.
Yeah, you'd jump over the little mushrooms and stuff.
I heard that thing so many times. My kids loved that. The memories. Times have changed.
They see people doing crossword puzzles on their phones or number things or letter things. I just quit. I don't need to do that.
It takes up a lot of time.
They say it makes your brain act better and do better, but I got enough. Yeah.
I do like that Wordle, I think it's called. It does make you think, but you know me, I'm going to cheat. Catherine Ann told me about this website. You just type in those 7 letters and it'll give you all the 7-letter words, the 6-letter words.
Chat GTP. You could just ask that.
Lana was so funny. She was saying if she'd had Chat GTP back in school, that she would have been able to make A's.
Yeah.
Because she said that thing
would
would be writing my paper. I know a lot of people are scared of the technology change. But I remember being scared of the internet. And it turned out, yes, it's got bad things. But overall, think about how fortunate we are. I got my husband's truck for sale if anybody wants to buy it. All I had to do was put it on Facebook Marketplace. I'm just saying, I know everybody thinks, things are so much worse now. Well, some things may be. Depends on your season. But we are carrying around a supercomputer in our hands.
Like any other time. The good comes with the bad.
I remember I was in College Park, Georgia, and I had my whole class. We had one computer in the library. And they gave us a training on it, and you had to call it, and it's like, dial on me.
I'm glad it did,
but I said, boys and girls, this is the internet. Just exploring. It took forever to get the answer. Now, you want to know something, you just type in Chat GTP, and I'm telling you, it's not a bad thing, because I've gotten to where on Google, if I type in barbecue, then all these ads are going to come up, and the one that's paid the most or gets the most views will be first, not necessarily the best. I'm just saying, ChatGPT, it gets to know you because I've asked it questions about us.
Siri.
No, I'm talking about our podcast. Like I wrote about our niche. What's it called? Niche. It kind of said that's what our niche is storytelling. And I used to be a professional storyteller, and I can tell you this, if you need help telling a story, some people are just naturals. Like I think Amanda's a good storyteller, but I actually taught children how to storytell. There's a few things you have to do. You have to have a hook. Think about like you hook a fish, that visual. So
that's what I'm thinking.
You got to have something that catches their attention from the beginning. If you just get on there like Charlie Brown's teacher, like, wah, 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 that's not going to get it. So you have to get them interested. Say it maybe in a different tone of voice. Just have some enthusiasm in your voice. Then you have the plot. So that's like the meat of the story.
Mhm.
And during that time, you have a problem. And the problem has to be solved. So how is the problem going to be solved? So the
Yeah, I
middle
never
of the
knew that was that many things involved in it.
elements. So you got to have the hook with a problem. So people want to know, how does that problem get solved? So in the middle of the story, you get to the climax, and that's when it might be scary. You don't know. It could go this way, or then you've got the ending of the story, which the problem is solved. So
That's interesting to hear it
it
put out
is.
like that, because I'm thinking about exactly what you just said, and any shows that I like, they all
Mhm.
have that.
We were ADD and dyslexic, but I think as being a teacher and getting to teach something, it made me learn more. They say if you teach something, you'll be more apt to remember it. Do you
I can
agree?
see that. I can see that. Yeah.
You were saying how you teach your customers to pull their brush straight up. You would have been a good teacher. You are a teacher.
Never was a good teacher, but I'm a teacher if I don't feel like I'm in the role of being made to be the teacher. I like to do it undercover. I like to give people tips, but they can take what they want and leave what they don't. But as far
Teachers don't
as,
know it all.
yeah, well, as a kid, you do think a teacher is like, I always put my teachers on pedestals. I looked up to them.
I was always
Mhm.
real with my student. Failing in 5th grade. I remember that's my first F, I think.
Well, I failed 6th grade.
I remember.
That's why
I
I had to
remember-
go to that academy, was to catch up, because I was determined I was going to graduate with my graduating class.
I remember Lana saying the other night she could have done good with that chat GTP if she'd had it in school.
Well, all I know is sometimes everybody learns in different ways. I've learned more because my original name was Productive Certified Binger. I have learned more on some true story series than I ever learned in the history books in school, because I remember it.
Right.
And it impacts me.
Yeah, because you're watching it instead of
Yeah.
hearing it. Yep.
So
All
I
right,
may be
well,
a visual learner.
I think you are. Yeah. I'm
I don't like to
kinesthetic.
read directions. I always like to look at the picture and then I can go to putting it together.
Yeah, that is visual. I learn more by doing it. So
Well, I
that's
think I
kinesthetic.
maybe have both,
Yeah.
visual and that.
Right.
Because
I
once
think
I
I was
do
that
it,
way.
I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it depends on how it is visual. If somebody's writing on a chalkboard, that's not very interesting. If you got ADHD, if you go to a movie and they got the sounds loud and it's exciting, it'll get your attention. You remember people that had those hatchbacks that put some big old speakers in the back of their car?
They were the size of a half of a refrigerator.
Yeah. And you knew they didn't go on no vacations because they couldn't have put a luggage in it. When you would ride by, it'd be like boom, boom, boom.
And guess what?
Boom.
My car had tweeters up in the
Well,
front
I remember
windows.
that.
We had tweeters up in the top that they sang to.
You were fancy back in the day. I remember that.
Well, I got mine put in at the Radio Shack. My sister.
I was just, that's deja vu, because I was just thinking about our friend that used to have a car and she had all that. She had that thing in her hatchback.
Everybody had that.
She had that equalizer.
Yeah. Them little eyes.
And we had cassette tapes. And my friend's cousin, he had the 2 cassette tapes, so he could steal music.
He did.
He could make you a tape. You just tell him what songs you wanted. He did charge like $2, but you got all your favorite songs. I was a lawbreaker. I think I bought a few, but I didn't for a while because we didn't have a cassette. We had an 8-track in our car.
Well, I had a cassette in my car. The one I had a cassette because I got the system put in. It didn't have a cassette or a CD or nothing. Well, of course not a CD. It had a radio, but I got that system put in, and then it bounced when it went down the road, too. But I didn't have the speaker in the back. It just had enough juice in them JTB or Pioneer speakers.
By the time I got my car, I was in college, and I got to drive my grandma's car for a while. They got a new Delta 88, and she had a Buick Deuce and a Quarter, I think's what they called it. Anyway, the back doors wasn't open. All my friends, they would just get in the front seat and crawl on over to the back. And I had so many tickets in that car because I would drive up to my class, always running late. I'd go right up to the front door and park, in the professor spot. And I'd come out and it'd be a ticket on the windshield. I wouldn't even take it off. I just left it on there. And then I'd get another one. I'd have like 10 on there, and then I'd take them off and throw them away.
After you in a record to get your car and haul it off?
No. Now, this day and age, they would be able to do that.
They didn't have a tracking thing on it, too.
My grandmother had a different last name than me. So how would they have known? That car was in their name. But most of the time, I would have to catch a ride down to Starkville with one of our friends, and I'd probably give them $5 worth of gas money. I walked to my classes, and I would hitch rides with the people in the dormitory to go to the Walmart. It was really a good time to go to Subway, or Obie's was the best.
Oh, I remember Obie's. But while y'all were doing all that, I was in beauty school, and me and my first cousin was going to beauty school with me. And I remember one time we was on the way, turning in a red light, turning right, but it went dead right under the red light. And I was like, gosh, what are we going to do? I was embarrassed back then.
Did you run out of gas?
I think we did, because we always ran on fumes. Anyway, she got out and started pushing it, and I ducked down in the driver's seat, steering it so nobody couldn't see me, while Robin was out pushing it. Because I was bad. I was so embarrassed, but we didn't run out of gas anymore. But that's what I was doing while y'all was in college. But I bet eventually they caught up with your grandmother on them tickets.
I never got caught. Glad I didn't. I'm not even going to say what college I went to. I went to LSU. No, I'm kidding. I forgot our sponsor break. So tonight we are sponsored by Leah Daggard Swimming Lessons. Remember, safety before swimming. Bye, y'all. We love you.
Bye. Good night.